Oh, yeah. Back online, baby. Back online. Here we go. Obviously, I'm out, but I'm still with you. That's the beauty of this whole thing. So, anyways, I can't stay away. I can't stop from talking to you. So we got to do it this way for right now. We got to keep moving. These Middle Ages are going to be real quick. We got to keep moving along and making sure that we run through some chapters here. We're a little behind, so we're going to keep moving. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And if we are looking at some stuff here, this is at the classroom. Once I get the link for this video on YouTube, I'll put it in this assignment. But there is a slideshow there. This is what we're going to go over. And you have questions that's going to come out with that assignment here, being brought to you by the numbers 8 and 9. And the people, Julia and Hennig, they are bringing you, like Sesame Street, this worksheet. Now, so here it is. These 10 questions are going to go right in order with this slideshow. So without further ado, let's go to work. All right. This is where presentation, here we go. All right, the Middle Ages, boom, boom, boom. Now, so what we have to know is that, first off, Rome has collapsed. Remember that there's two parts of Rome at the end. There's the Eastern Rome and there's Western Rome. Western Rome is Western Europe, Italy, France, Spain, England, Germany, Portugal, like all of that is under. And then also like parts of Northern Africa. So that is all part of Western Rome. Western Rome is going to fall around 425 CE. The East is going to keep going for like another 500 years. So the kicker here is, so what happens to Europe, right? And this is the time period after Rome falls that Western Europe is going to be a hot mess. I mean, like hot mess. All right. Everybody that takes over has no education really. They're called the Dark Ages. There's no learning really going on. There's not a lot of advancements. Government is like decentralized. It's a crap show. All right. So let's get to it. Now, the beginning of the Middle Ages here. All right. We talked about Rome's gone. There's no governing body really, right? And there's all of these different types of Germanic people, Visigoths, Huns, all of these guys are all running around Europe, kind of picking apart what was remaining of Rome, but they don't know how to run a government, all right? Now, as you can see down there, coming from the Latin medium evum, means Middle Age and is a source of the English word medieval, right? So these are medieval times. So we're going to be getting to all of these knights and all of that, right? So the Dark Ages, 500 to 1000. It's not a good time, right? They're called Dark Ages, and it's a dark age because nobody is learning. There's no education taking place, and as a result, all of these barbarians have brought darkness upon Europe, right? In the idea of no education, to where we know that like the Romans and all of the education and the engineering and the advancements and the science and all of that and the mathematics is all going to get kind of lost, all right, during these Middle Ages from 500 to 1000. Now, so here we go. And I think one of the questions is going to ask you about these Germanic tribes, right? And just so you can see, so like as we look over here, this is Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire. It is so different now. They speak Greek. They're going to be practicing a different religion, like all of these things, like a different form of Christianity. They're going to see themselves as being Roman still, but it's just different. And so historians have named them the Byzantine Empire because they are distinctly different than what like Western Rome was. Now, on the other side here, you see all of this movement by these different groups: Visigoths, Vandals, Burgundians, Franks, Huns, Lombards, Ostrogoths, Angles, and Saxons, and Celts. Like all of these guys, and think of it like Native American tribes in the United States. You know, whether like Navajo, Huron, Apache, like they're all just different groups of people, right? Different ethnic groups of people. And these are the ones that Rome had cleared out and conquered for 500 years and pushed them all out onto the outskirts of the empire. And as Rome was weakening, they started to see that weakness and they started coming in and attacking and taking over, and they're just going to pick the empire apart. All right. And Rome just couldn't defend itself anymore. So, so these warriors, these Germanic tribes that kind of come back in, right? You will see that they take over, and you know, here's some of these guys down here: Gauls, Britons, and Goths, and Franks, and Vandals, and Saxons, and Wends, and they are just the people that Rome had conquered before that now are rising back up and coming back. All right. Now here we can take a look in the last map. Like we couldn't see down in Northern Africa, but look at this size of Eastern Rome and even Western Rome, right? When it was still together in 400 CE, is that like all of this Northern Africa, all the way up through Britain, come all the way across, and like here you are pushing up against the Persian Empire, the Sassanid Empire out there, right? So it's huge, huge tracts of land. Now, they moved the capital of Constantinople under Constantine, hence the reason Constantinople. And from there, because of its location, its access to trade, it's the wealth that it brought in made the government more stable on that side. And Western Rome is going to slowly just decline after Constantine moves it there in like 300. It's pretty much Western Rome is going to start to crumble over the next 125 years or so. All right. Now, look at this. This is the Byzantine Empire by 814. Look how much smaller it is, right? It used to be all the way up through here, all the way down, all the way around through here, and then parts of Northern Africa. It's all gone, right? And it is because now this is 200 years after Muhammad had created Islam. In this Abbasid Caliphate, this is the Muslim empires going through, and you can see like the Umayyad is all the way up into Spain and pushing into Europe, right? And also pushing back here against Eastern Rome or Byzantine Empire. So like it's shrinking over the course of those couple hundred years. So even Eastern Rome is going to struggle here, okay? Now, the church, if we go back to Western Rome, this Rome in itself is the home of the Catholic Church today, right? The Vatican is located in the city of Rome, and that is where it was strongest from the very beginning. So even after Rome falls, the church is still existing here, and the church is going to find itself being the one thing that kind of keeps Western Europe together during these dark ages. All right. And the Pope is in Rome and has a ton of power. All right. Has a ton of power. and has, the ability to kick people out, is making political alliances. We'll see with people, with rulers that come in and they're like, hey, how about we team up, right? And as long as this is a good relationship for the church and for that ruler, it's a powerful alliance. But as soon as like the Pope doesn't like it anymore, throws that person aside, that emperor, that king, and makes another alliance. All right. And the church is more powerful than any one king, right? But also knows that the Pope is always looking for the most powerful king and to make allies with that person, because then they are doubly powerful, right? And this is this kind of like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. You do favors for me, I'll do favors for you. The church looked to, like, every day when the priest would talk at church or whatever, like they would talk about how good of a job the king is doing, right? And how it's important to follow your nobles and to support the political chain that's occurring, right? And the kings would also then support the church militarily, right, and monetarily, and all of these things back and forth. So it was good for both. Now, one of the things that the church does to hold Europe together is that there's going to be some emperors, all right, from like 500 to 1,000, but it's not very strong. They are short-lived, and because there's not this one central authority, Europe is very decentralized, and it makes it very easy for people to attack. And the people who are going to attack it are Vikings, all right? And so one of the things that kind of holds local communities together are the monasteries, all right, which they call monasticism, right? And these monasteries are the only places in Europe where you can get an education. The priests, that's what their jobs are. The monks that work there, their job is to spread Christianity, provide services for the community, and to work. That's all they do, right? I mean, they also like pray like 4 or 5 hours a day too, but that's kind of their existence. These monks take a huge vow to take care of everything that the community needs. And in return, they're getting people to convert, they're expanding Christianity, they're solidifying Christianity as the one thing, the one religion in Europe, all right? Now, we get into their Moravians, all right, Clovis the First. These guys are pretty powerful. And we're then going to get to the Carolingians. And Charles Martel has probably one of the best nicknames of all time. Charles Martel, his name is the Hammer, right? So, and remember how in this, wait, did I miss it? Wait, I missed it. Hold on. Are you getting sick? Okay, yeah. So remember how we said the Muslim caliphates are coming through here, and the Umayyad caliphate is up through here, and it is pushing into France. Here's that Carolingian empire. Here's Charles Martel, the Hammer. This is his empire. And there is an important battle that is probably the main reason why many of us are not Muslim or speaking Arabic, is because Charles Martel fought a battle of the Tours here and pushed back the Muslim encroachment on Europe and actually pushed them out of Spain for the most part. So it was a very, 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 very big deal as far as like which way Europe was going to go. All right. But when we get back to here, Charles Martel is then going to be his grandson, Charlemagne. All right. And now Charlemagne is going to be the first Holy Roman Emperor. Okay. Now there was all these kind of deals and all the rest with kings and the Pope going through, but by 800, Pope Leo III goes to Charlemagne and he says, listen, I want to bring back the greatness of Rome, right? As in like Rome, like we just studied. And I want to bring back the greatness of Rome. And I'm going to name you the Holy Roman Emperor. All right. So the holy part means that you are backed by the church, right? And we are going to say that we're going back to the greatness of Rome and, everything that it was 400 years ago. And then we are going to claim it an empire. We are going to go out and we're going to conquer everywhere, right? Just like the Roman Empire did, because that's what an empire is, right? If you're a king of a country. But if you start going and conquering other countries, now that's an empire. So the kicker to this whole thing is that the Holy Roman Empire, and this is part of the questions here, was neither holy because they did a lot of bad things. Like the Pope and whoever the Holy Roman Emperor was did not wear a "what would Jesus do" bracelet. Did not. Like there are times that like the Pope is attacking the emperor just because he's mad at him. There are times that the emperor is looking to take over like Rome and the papal lands in Italy and will go down and attack. And so this whole thing comes down to the saying that the Holy Roman Empire was neither holy nor Roman, because none of these guys are really Italian or have any links back to Rome. They're all Germanic tribes like the Franks and all that. And they were never an empire. They really never conquered anything to be considered an empire. It was all a like marketing ploy, all right? So the Holy Roman Empire was neither holy nor Roman nor an empire. But there you go, is what it is. So you can see like here the division of Charlemagne's empire after he goes away, and kind of gets broken up, and it's going to be dissolved real quick. Charlemagne was another one of those guys like the Emperor Ashoka was in India, like constantly on the move, making sure everybody's following his rules, very centralized. And then all of a sudden, once he dies, like his son is called like the pious or the wimp or whatever. Like his kid was like, as far as the leader goes, and everything's going to kind of dissolve real fast. Now, the birth of modern language, all the Romantic languages, English, Spanish, French, right? All of these languages are born out of Latin. And so as Latin is mixing with all of these Germanic tribes' languages, we are going to start to see French, Spanish, English, these versions come out. All right. Now, last part of this. All right, we're almost done here, so stay with me. We talked about how they didn't really have very strong leadership during the Middle Ages. All right. And what they did was they developed this social, political, economic system to survive. Now, remember how I said the Vikings were invading? So Vikings would come down into Europe and they would plunder and steal and kill and do whatever, take what they want, and boom, gone. All right. Yeah. Like, yay, Vikings, Wally Central, woo, right? And because there was no strong empire with a strong army, they couldn't defend themselves. So they had to figure out a way to defend themselves locally. And so what happened was they developed feudalism. So like the king was at top. The nobles or these tenants in chief, they call them here, nobles, would have their own manors, right? And they would have like huge areas of farms. And then what they would do is they would hire knights to like train all of the peasant serfs how to fight, right? And they would also be in charge of like, they'd also be like cops, right? So somebody, stole your pig. All right. Well, a knight, his daily job would be like, hey, all right, I got to investigate who stole, Fred's pig, and kind of go from there. But as soon as the Vikings, came and attacked, it was the knight's job to fight off the Vikings, to organize the peasants and lead them to protect everybody in the village from the Vikings. And so this is the main reason for feudalism, was just simply that there was no centralized authority to protect anybody, right? So there's no centralized authority. The king, who you're thinking like, well, Mr. Sharpe, isn't a king like a king? Like, isn't that central? These guys, super weak, right? And the only reason why they were there was because they were like the highest noble. And the other nobles agreed, like, hey, go ahead, you're king, we'll back you. But the nobles still kept a lot of their own power. And you can see they kept their own forces. So if the king ever wanted to go to battle with somebody, they would have to go to that noble and be like, hey, I need to borrow your troops. I need them to go fight a battle over here against somebody, which then means you're not that strong if you're counting on other people to help you. So it was feudalism was very decentralized. And it's one of the few times that we'll see in Europe being decentralized. Soon enough, we're going to get to strong kings, strong countries, boundaries, standing armies, taxes, all of these things. That's coming. But right now, Europe's a hot mess. There's no learning. There's no political centralization. There's no protection, right? And so they are doing everything they can just at this local level. So imagine if commerce was ruled, by the noble Sharpe, and I was counting on all of the teachers to be my knights. And every time that, the Vikings invaded commerce, I would have to get all the teachers together, and they would get all of their students, and they would hopefully have trained them, and then we would go and then try to fight, right? But there might be a noble up in West Bloomfield that like he's got that manner, and he and I may fight, or he and I may watch those Vikings go down to his place and invade there, and I'd be like, he's on his own, right? And that's not necessarily a good way to try keeping peace and stability. So everything on the manor was done on the manor. There was no long distance trade. Economics were like barter and trade. You need a pair of shoes. All right, well, I'll give you a chicken, right? You got a chicken, I need a chicken, you got a pair of shoes, let's switch, we're good, right? So, we didn't count on the manor in West Bloomfield. We didn't get anything from the Silk Road Trade Network. It was about as basic an existence as you could have gotten. Like when we go back to those early river valley civilizations, they were more complex, right? Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus River Valley civilizations of Harappa and that, and then the Zhao and that in China, they were 3,000-4,000 years before this, and they had better governments than what they had in Europe after the fall of Rome. So that's that. I hope everything is good. You can kind of take a look. This is all of like the agreements, like nobles will provide the peasants protection if they give them labor, right? And all of this. So if you want to take a look at that, super interesting. I'm going to see if I can't get over, make sure that let's see here, explain feudalism. It was decentralized. Look at the thing for the hierarchy, monasticism, the relationship. I think we're good. I think I can shut up right now. You guys, peace out. Deuces, duck lips.
No. Did you just tell me no?